Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America. I hope you're well and ready for a devotional reading with Stanley Jones. The subject of his reading today, his devotional today, is our reactions. He's walked us through the importance of understanding the difference between an unsurrendered life and a surrendered life. And he continues on with something that will help us to be able to gauge our ability to be able to deliver love continuously. And he calls this particular devotional, Our Reactions. It's good to see you, Chris and Phil. If you're watching this morning, thank you so much for your love and kindness for us. Pam and I in Brazil, thank you for your gifts to our ministry. God bless you. It's good to see you in the morning. Good morning, Lori, and other people who come on. Thanks for joining me this morning. Our reactions. We focus a lot on our actions, but we also need to know and evaluate our reactions. That's what I think he's trying to get across to us today. It certainly touched in my heart this morning as I read the devotion earlier. He says this: we are looking at the things that choke and cancel out our growth. We must look at something akin to the unsurrendered self. The test of whether the self is surrendered or unsurrendered is our reactions to what happens to us. Our reactions to what happens to us. If the self is surrendered, we react on the whole with love. But when the self is unsurrendered, then we react in resentment, anger, self-pity, or retreatism. It is a simple but profound test. So the reactions are the revelation. As we watch our reactions, we get to know ourselves better. So the reactions are a revelation. What we do to life around us is important. Our actions count. We become what we do. But what life does to us is just as important. For we become our reactions. We become what we react. Our reactions not only reveal us, they make us. There are many who are converted and correct in their actions, but they're not converted in their reactions. They don't lie or steal or commit adultery or get drunk. They are correct in their actions, but they react badly to what happens to them. They react into resentments or self-pity. Wrong actions can and do spoil us, but wrong reactions just as definitely and devastatingly spoil us, and sometimes more so. For you can make a case to justify the wrong reaction. Look what they did to me. Why should this sorrow happen to me? I didn't do anything to deserve this. But whether justified or unjustified, wrong reactions will leave us devastated. Here are two people who have the same thing happen to them. One lady loses her son, a medical student. She puts her spacious home at the disposal of medical students, makes them welcome, does everything she can for them, and does all this in the name and for the sake of her son. She turns the loss of her son into a gain for other people's sons. She is adjusted and happy. But another woman loses her son, goes into excessive, unhealthy grief, shuts herself away from life, and nurses her grief. It leaves her just as devastated a personality as going out and breaking all the moral codes would do. And here's his prayer. Oh, Jesus, you who did react in love to every person and every happening, help me to do the same. Amen. The affirmation for the day: my aim in life, all my actions and all my reactions, Christian. My aim in life, all my actions and all my reactions, Christian. This devotional really rings true to me because I remember as I was saved in a wonderful, beautiful church where I became pastor of that church many years later. And the kind of environment that I was living in at that time and the seminary that I attended a Bible college, they had a tremendous focus on what you should not do. There would seem to be a real passion for laying out very clearly what we should not do and how we should not behave. And they had plenty of rules to make sure that we understood how deeply we needed to understand and abide by those rules. But I don't remember being coached as to my reactions. I don't remember people saying, if you get self-absorbed and resentful and you begin to justify or defend yourself or retreat from correction or retreat from difficulty, I don't remember being coached well in that area. But over the years, long before reading E. Stanley Jones talking about this, I began to understand that if I was going to be like Jesus, then I was going to have to stop reacting to the things people said of me or the judgments people made of my ability. And I needed to stop reacting to circumstances as if I had some sort of right to not be troubled by the normal things that trouble us in this world. And over time, I really began to understand that spirituality is like a river that's flowing. When Jesus said, "He who believes in me, out of his innermost life will flow rivers of living water," it gave me a metaphor where I could see that a river is not reacting, it's acting. The river is not punishing, it's just moving on. It isn't judging. It doesn't set out to be destructive, but it has to go where the source wants it to go. I also remember that Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, "Do not resist a perverse person." I never really liked that verse. I didn't like it because I had sort of been taught that if I didn't stand up and confront the perverse person, I wouldn't be honoring God. And here it is, God telling me to not spend my energy reacting against even a perverse person. Why is that? So I use the illustration to help me. It's like when a river is moving over rocks, it doesn't stop to fight with the rocks. It either goes over them or around them, or it just moves through them. And it wears down the things that try to stop it. I also think that when we read in Galatians this list of the fruit of the Spirit, you can get an idea that there's nothing in this list of the fruit of the Spirit that is reactive. It's all active. It said, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. These are behaviors that you can do, and there's nothing that can stand against them. There's no law. A law is made in order to stop people from doing certain things. These behaviors, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, these are behaviors that should be continuous. Also remember that when I read the verse where of the story where Peter said, "How many times do I need to forgive? Is 7 enough?" And Jesus said, "It's 70 times 7. Being from Scotch-Irish descent, I don't think the people from whom I've come down through the many years of my heritage are good at forgiving. We're pretty good at talking. We're pretty good at fighting. We're pretty good at a lot of those kind of things. But forgiving 70 times 7, that's where I needed to call out for God's grace and say, help me. That's why he says this. Oh, Jesus, you did not react you did react in love to every person and every happening. Help me to do the same. Amen. Jesus was not weak. Jesus was focused. Jesus was not unaware. He is the light. Another thing that's helped me is to remember that we are salt and light. When you think about what salt and light do, you don't see salt and light stopping to brood or be filled with self-pity. Maybe that's what it means if we lose our flavor or savor, then we're not useful. If we become reactive instead of active. I really do believe that for love to make its point, and the point of love is to glorify God, for love to make its point, it must be continuous. It must be continuous. It can't be alternating, stopping. If it's going to make its mark, it's like a river. It cannot stop. It cannot stop. It's like a vineyard. A vineyard just has to keep producing the fruit year after year after year after year until it finally makes its point. I exist to bear the fruit. I exist to bear the fruit. I exist to deliver love. Perhaps that's what is meant by Jesus when he says, take up your cross and follow me. When Jesus took up his cross, he went through the entire experience of the death, the burial, and the resurrection because he never stopped loving and he never will stop loving. He does that in your life and in my life. So in that, I think we can understand why Stanley Jones would say, love must not stop. I know how easy it is to stop loving. I'm certainly not holding myself up as a perfect example of what I'm talking about here, but I know this, that when I'm a reaction, it just doesn't work. It does not work. It doesn't produce the effect that I really want to see, which is continuous love. Hey, have a great day. Things here in Brazil are a little bit cold this morning. I know where some of you are at. It's very, very warm, so I'm going to thank God for the cold, and I'll do my best to not react to the cold, and you do your best to not react perhaps to the heat. In fact, why don't we just spend a day not reacting? Why don't we act? God bless you. Have a great day.